This BMW was forgotten for years deep inside a dangerous jungle. Surrounded by mud, broken trees, insects, and rust, this once beautiful luxury machine had turned into nothing more than an abandoned wreck. No one knew how long it had been sitting there. The tires were completely flat, the windows were shattered, the paint was destroyed, and vines had wrapped themselves around the entire body. Nature had slowly taken over every inch of the car, but underneath all that dirt and damage, there was still something special hiding inside. Today, we are bringing this abandoned BMW back to life. From a rusty jungle wreck to a fully restored luxury masterpiece, this is going to be one of the most satisfying restorations you will ever see. After traveling through rough jungle roads for hours, we finally discovered something hidden between the trees. At first, it didn't even look like a vehicle. It was covered with leaves, mud, and thick vines. But as we moved closer, the legendary BMW grille slowly appeared through the dirt. That moment felt unreal. Even though the car was destroyed, you could still recognize the aggressive shape and iconic design. The condition was horrible. Rust had spread across the body panels. The headlights were broken. The hood was bent. The mirrors were hanging loose. Inside the cabin, insects and dirt had completely taken over. Rainwater had damaged almost everything. But despite all of that, we knew this BMW deserved another chance. Recovering the car from the jungle was not easy. The BMW had sunk deep into wet mud after years of rain. Even opening the doors required force because rust had jammed everything shut. We attached heavy-duty chains to the chassis and connected them to a recovery truck. Slowly, the truck started pulling. Mud splashed everywhere as the chains tightened harder and harder. At first, the car barely moved, but after several attempts, the abandoned BMW finally came out of the jungle. Watching sunlight hit the body for the first time in years was an incredible feeling. The damage looked even worse outside. The paint was almost gone, rust covered most of the body, and the engine bay was packed with dirt and leaves. Still, this was the beginning of something amazing. Once the BMW arrived at the workshop, we began the inspection process. Before restoring any car, it's important to understand exactly what needs repair. And this BMW had problems everywhere. The suspension was damaged, the brakes were seized, the fuel system was clogged, and most of the electrical wiring had been destroyed by moisture. The engine had not started in years. Inside the cabin, the seats were ripped apart, the carpets were covered in mold, and the dashboard was cracked from heat and humidity. This wasn't going to be a simple repair. This would be a complete restoration from the ground up. But that's what makes projects like this exciting. Taking something completely dead and transforming it into something beautiful again. The first major step was deep cleaning the BMW. Years of mud and dirt covered every surface. Using high-pressure water, we slowly washed away the layers of grime. As the mud disappeared, the original body color started becoming visible again. It honestly felt like uncovering hidden treasure. Dirt poured out from every corner of the car. Leaves, insects, and debris were stuck everywhere. Even the engine bay needed serious cleaning. After hours of washing, the transformation was unbelievable. For the first time, the BMW actually looked like a car again instead of a pile of junk abandoned in the forest. Next came complete disassembly. Every damaged part had to be removed. The doors, hood, bumpers, seats, carpets, lights, and even the engine were taken out piece by piece. Soon, the BMW was reduced to nothing more than a bare metal shell. This stage requires patience because years of rust can make every bolt difficult to remove. Some bolts snapped completely, others were fused together from corrosion. But slowly, piece by piece, the car came apart. Now we could finally begin the rebuilding process properly. The body restoration was one of the hardest parts of the entire project. Rust had badly damaged multiple sections of the car. Some areas were beyond repair and needed completely new metal. Using grinders and sanding tools, we carefully removed every bit of rust from the body. Damaged sections were cut away and replaced with fresh metal panels. Every dent and imperfection was repaired slowly and carefully. This process took many long hours of hard work, but eventually, the BMW body became smooth and strong again. After completing the repairs, we prepared the entire car for paint. Primer was sprayed across the body, and suddenly the old jungle wreck started looking alive again. Now it was time to rebuild the heart of the BMW, the engine. This engine had been sitting dead for years. Water and dirt had entered important components, causing severe damage internally. Instead of taking risks, we decided to fully rebuild the engine from scratch. Every part was cleaned carefully. Damaged components were replaced with new ones. Fresh seals, hoses, gaskets, fluids, and filters were installed. The engine bay itself was also restored and repainted. After days of work, the engine finally looked factory new again. But the biggest question still remained. Would it actually start? The suspension and braking system also needed complete restoration. A luxury sports car needs proper control and handling, not just power. The old suspension was worn out, the bushings were cracked, and the brakes were completely unsafe. So we upgraded everything with fresh components. New shocks, brake lines, brake discs, and tires completely changed the stance of the BMW. Suddenly, the car looked aggressive and powerful again. It no longer looked like a forgotten jungle wreck. It was becoming a real performance machine once more. The interior transformation completely changed the personality of the car. The old cabin smelled terrible and was filled with damaged materials. So we rebuilt the entire interior from scratch. New leather seats were installed. Fresh carpets covered the floor. The dashboard was restored beautifully, and modern lighting gave the cabin a premium luxury feel. A new steering wheel completed the transformation. Sitting inside the finished BMW felt unreal. Quiet, clean, comfortable, and luxurious. It honestly felt like stepping into a brand new car. Then came the most satisfying stage of the restoration, the paint job. We chose a deep glossy black color that perfectly matched the aggressive design of the BMW. The body was polished carefully before painting began. Layer by layer, fresh paint covered the restored metal. Under the workshop lights, the reflections looked like glass. Every body line stood out beautifully. Once the clear coat and final polish were completed, the transformation was unbelievable. This was no longer the rusty abandoned BMW we found in the jungle. This was now a luxury masterpiece. Finally, the moment everyone had been waiting for arrived. The first engine start. Fresh fuel was added. The battery was connected. We turned the key slowly and waited. At first, there was only silence. Then suddenly, the engine came to life. The sound echoed throughout the workshop. After years of being abandoned in the jungle, this BMW was alive again. That moment made every hour of hard work worth it. With the restoration complete, it was finally time for the first drive. The BMW rolled smoothly out of the workshop looking absolutely stunning. The glossy black paint reflected the sunlight perfectly. The engine sounded powerful, the suspension felt tight, and the car handled beautifully on the road. It was hard to believe this was the same destroyed vehicle we discovered buried deep inside the jungle. This restoration proves something important. Even when something looks completely destroyed, it can still be saved with enough passion, patience, and hard work. This BMW went from being forgotten in the jungle to becoming a beautiful luxury machine once again. And honestly, seeing transformations like this is what makes restoration projects so satisfying. From abandoned wreck to legendary rebirth, the BMW is finally alive again.